How can we suppress blood sugar without drugs? The research is conclusive. The longer you wait to tame age-related blood sugar increases, the greater your odds of succumbing to diabetes and its associated increased risk of heart attack, stroke, kidney failure, cancer, and blindness. The public has not yet recognized the magnitude of damage inflicted after consumption of what most consider only a moderate amount of starch or sugar. A widely publicized study showed that drinking just one 12-ounce sugar-sweetened soda daily resulted in an 18 to 22% increased risk of type 2 diabetes. While health-conscious people may avoid sodas, there are so many glucose-spiking foods in our diets that virtually none of us are immune. Hard science reveals that fasting blood sugar levels above 85 milligrams per deciliter is associated with increased risks of death and disease. Unfortunately, most adult glucose levels are well above this range. Aging humans should take assertive steps before eating carbohydrates to impede the absorption of glucose into their bloodstream. Just as important, however, is the need to suppress excess production of glucose in our liver and to improve uptake of blood glucose into our muscle cells, as opposed to it being stored as fat. The breaking news for those who want to avoid drugs is the discovery of 3 plant-derived nutrients that target underlying reasons why 80% of American adults today have higher than optimal glucose levels. Researchers have identified 3 natural ingredients that can safely reduce the amount of extra sugar produced in the liver, reduce the rate of sugar absorption, and facilitate transporting sugar out of the bloodstream and into energy-producing cells. Each of these 3 natural ingredients acts independently and complementarily to protect against age-related increases in blood sugar and insulin levels. Okay, so what are these natural ingredients that reduce blood sugar? The first one is an extract from the mulberry leaf, which has been used in Chinese traditional medicine to treat various problems, particularly those involving blood sugar control. Scientists have discovered evidence to validate this traditional use. It turns out that mulberry works to support healthy blood sugar levels via several effective mechanisms. A component found in mulberry called DNJ can fool the body into believing that it is a sugar molecule. By mimicking sugar, DNJ binds to the alpha-glucosidase enzyme whose job is to look for starches in your intestines to break them down into sugars. When DNJ binds to alpha-glucosidase, the body can't process as much starch, so this starch and its calories pass through the intestine rather than being absorbed into your blood as sugar. The binding of DNJ to alpha-glucosidase thus allows you to reduce the sugar load in your bloodstream that is created every time you eat a starchy meal. Mulberry inhibits starch-related blood sugar rise in a similar fashion as acarbose, which is a prescription medication used for blood sugar control. Acarbose helps reduce after-meal blood sugar spikes by inhibiting alpha-glucosidase. Studies demonstrate that mulberry leaf extracts reduce after-meal rises in glucose. Daily use of mulberry leaf extracts can even delay the onset of type 2 diabetes in experimental models, significantly lowering after-meal insulin and glucose levels and delaying the development of diabetes. The DNJ in mulberry also reduces the production of excess glucose in the liver, as does the anti-diabetic drug metformin. Because around 47% of fasting sugar, that's after 14 hours of fasting, comes from the liver pumping out glucose, this inhibition can significantly lower the amount of excess glucose circulating in your bloodstream. A human study compared mulberry with a leading anti-diabetic drug called Glyburide. This drug lowers glucose by boosting pancreatic production of insulin. At the Life Extension Foundation, they've long warned against this drug because excess insulin boosts cancer risk and damages cells throughout the body. In this experiment, 24 people with type 2 diabetes were treated either with mulberry extract or with Glyburide for 30 days. The researchers found that mulberry leaf extract lowered fasting blood sugar significantly more than Glyburide. The patients in the mulberry supplemented group had an impressive 27% drop in their fasting blood sugar, from 153 milligrams per deciliter down to 111 milligrams per deciliter. Those taking Glyburide saw only an 8% drop in their fasting blood sugar levels. Patients taking Mulberry saw their hemoglobin A1C blood level, which is a long-term measure of blood sugar levels, fall 10%. Those taking Glyburide showed no decrease at all. And the health benefits of Mulberry did not stop with just reducing blood sugar levels. The study showed that Mulberry also had a positive impact on lipid profiles such as cholesterol that affect cardiovascular health. Those treated with Mulberry showed a 12% decrease in total cholesterol and a 16% decrease in triglycerides. In the Glyburide group, there was no real improvement in any of the lipid measurements from baseline. Patients taking Mulberry saw their protective HDL levels rise by a significant 18% compared to just 3% in the Glyburide group. So clearly, Mulberry is outperforming this prescription drug. Raising protective HDL levels has been a huge research target for the leading pharmaceutical companies, and so far their efforts have failed. Mulberry clearly demonstrated its ability to improve both metabolic and cardiovascular markers without boosting insulin levels, in contrast to the insulin-boosting drug Glyburide. In another impressive human trial, volunteers were given a mulberry leaf extract enriched with additional D&J content. After taking the mulberry extract, the patients drank water containing 50 grams, that's nearly 2 ounces of sugar. Mulberry extract suppressed the expected rise in glucose and kept insulin levels safely low, even in the face of this impressive ingestion of pure table sugar. Additional human research shows that mulberry extract improves lipid profiles in non-diabetic volunteers as well. One study of non-diabetic people focused on those with mild lipid abnormalities who had tried to improve their lipids with diet and failed. The results showed that 280 milligrams of mulberry leaf extract 3 times a day decreased their triglycerides by 10.2% at 4 weeks and then 12.5% at 8 weeks. By the end of the 12-week study, total cholesterol was down 4.9%, triglycerides had fallen 14.1%, and LDL had decreased by 5.6% from baseline values. Furthermore, beneficial HDL was increased by 19.7%. A similar study involved a group of subjects who started out with very high triglycerides, which averaged 312 milligrams per deciliter, that's more than double the upper limit of optimal. In this study, subjects took the D&J-rich mulberry extract. They took 12 milligrams 3 times a day before meals for 12 weeks. By the end of the study, the mean triglyceride level had fallen to 252 milligrams per deciliter, which is still in the danger range, but in 20% of the subjects, triglycerides fell to below 150 milligrams per deciliter. That's a reduction greater than 50%. There was a significant lowering in small or very low density LDL cholesterol particles, which are especially dangerous because they are readily oxidized and are strongly associated with atherosclerosis. In addition to doing all this, mulberry functions in another important way. By enhancing insulin sensitivity, mulberry helps shuttle sugar out of the bloodstream and into the cells where it can be utilized more readily. It accomplishes this improvement in insulin sensitivity and lowering of blood sugar levels by stimulating a cellular transporter called GLUT4. Let's call it GLUT4. Mulberry increases not only the number of GLUT4 transporters, but also facilitates their movement to the surface of the cell membrane. Thus, insulin sensitivity improves since glucose molecules are more readily moved into the cells of the body to enhance energy output. In a laboratory study, researchers showed that they could increase glucose uptake in cells by as much as 54% with mulberry leaf extract. The second natural ingredient that suppresses blood sugar is sorghum extract. Sorghum, a grass plant eaten in Egypt some 4,000 years ago and now cultivated in Africa and Asia, complements the sugar control benefits of mulberry by further improving insulin sensitivity and reducing gluconeogenesis, which is the creation of excess sugar in the liver. At the earliest stages of starch digestion, sorghum inhibits the alpha amylase enzymes that break down starch into sugar for absorption. This means that less starch ends up as sugar in your bloodstream. Sorghum has also been shown to reduce the digestibility of starch molecules, thus minimizing uptake as sugar. Sorghum provides another important benefit. it has been shown to reduce body fat. In an experimental study involving a high-fat diet, sorghum resulted in reductions of both blood sugar and insulin. The animals that were fed sorghum lost body fat and had reduced blood levels of lipids. Animals not receiving sorghum did not show the notable drops in blood sugar and insulin. Sorghum also reduces excess sugar production in the liver. Your liver can significantly raise your blood sugar level by producing excess glucose even though there's already enough sugar in your bloodstream. Sorghum slows down the liver-induced gluconeogenesis, which is a process that can be especially problematic for diabetics. The result is less new glucose entering the blood. This beneficial mechanism of controlling sugar production in the liver is similar to the anti-diabetes drug metformin. Other research has shown that a compound found in sorghum reduces hemoglobin A1c, which is a critical marker of long-term glucose control. And finally, the third natural ingredient that can suppress blood sugar without drugs is Phloridzin. Phloridzin is a natural polyphenol heavily concentrated in the skin of an apple. Phloridzin lowers blood sugar and enhances insulin sensitivity in several unique ways that complement the actions of mulberry and sorghum extract. Phloridzin has been used in diabetes research and has a low incidence of side effects. One of the ways in which Phloridzin reduces sugar in your blood is to inhibit the carrier proteins that absorb glucose from your intestine and kidney. By stopping these carrier molecules from absorbing sugar into your bloodstream, the sugar is safely passed out of the body without being used. Phloridzin inhibits two of these sugar carrier molecules called SGLT1 and SGLT2. Blocking SGLT1 prevents glucose absorption from the intestine, while blocking SGLT2 prevents it from being returned to the blood from urine forming in the kidney. Phloridzin primarily inhibits SGLT1 in the intestine, thereby preventing glucose from being absorbed and entering the bloodstream. Eventually, the undigested sugar is flushed away. Inhibiting SGLT1 lowers the glycemic impact right from the beginning of the digestive process and reduces the dangerous after-meal glucose spike that's associated with increased cardiovascular risk. Since Phloridzin blocks sugar uptake from the intestine, the sugar never gets a chance to spike in your blood following a meal. Experimental data show that Phloridzin causes significant reductions in after-meal blood sugar levels, with a reduction in the excessive drinking and urination that are typical in diabetes. Phloridzin normalizes blood glucose in experimental models of diabetes, restoring insulin sensitivity in cells and living tissues. Combined, mulberry leaf extract, sorghum extract, and Phloridzin work on numerous key mechanisms to improve insulin sensitivity, reduce blood glucose levels, safely escort glucose out of the body, and reduce the creation of new glucose in the liver. If your fasting glucose blood level is over 85 milligrams per deciliter, or if your hemoglobin A1c is over 5.0%, or a glucose tolerance test reads over 120 milligrams per deciliter, these three nutrients would be an important addition before every carbohydrate-containing meal. The Life Extension Foundation has recently created a product called Tri-Sugar Shield that contains all three of these nutrients. Each capsule contains 300 milligrams of sorghum bran, 150 milligrams of white mulberry extract, and 50 milligrams of Phloridzin. Probably the most reliable and inexpensive place to get this product is from iHerb.com. Their shipping is free if you order over $20, that's anywhere in the United States, and their shipping is free internationally if you order over $40. And if you use this coupon code, you can get $10 off of your first order. That coupon code is DKL345. Thanks a lot for listening, and we hope you check out our other informative videos.